Carlos Alcaraz is clear about his wish for 2026. The Australian Open is my first goal. Carlos Alcaraz already has his eyes on 2026 to keep making history in tennis with a clear goal, the Australian Open. At 22 years old, it is the big title that has eluded him, and the player from Murcia seems more motivated than ever to attack Melbourne next year and start the season in grand fashion. This season he achieved major feats, among them the US Open and Roland Garros. In total, 8 trophies, 9 finals, consecutive between April and September, and 71 matches won. Numbers worthy of a world number one that still don't satisfy the hunger of a player who only wants to keep winning. The main thing for me is the Grand Slams, to try to win as many Grand Slams as I can. That's my main goal, Alcaraz said. On his mind is still his tough elimination in the quarterfinals against Novak Djokovic. A very hard blow from which he won't feel recovered until he lifts the title. I think the Australian Open is going to be great. To be honest, it's my first goal. When I go into the preseason and think about what I want to improve, what I want to achieve, the Australian Open is there. It's the first or second tournament of the year, and my main goal is always to complete a Grand Slam, a calendar Grand Slam. I just wanted to finish it. Obviously I'll try to do it next year, but if not next year, I hope it's in 2, 3, or 4, he added. The one defending the Australian Open title could be none other than his close rival Jannik Sinner. The Italian swept past Alexander Zverev and, after several battles this year, cannot wait to face him again in 2026. I'm really grateful for the rivalry because it gives me the opportunity to give 100% in every practice, every day. The level I have to maintain and raise if I want to beat Jannik is really high, said the world number one. Carlos Alcaraz and his connection with Rafa Nadal. Carlos also reflected on the fact that once he won Roland Garros, he secured his 5th Grand Slam at the same age as Nadal. A coincidence he feels very proud of. Honestly, I'd say it's a matter of destiny. It's a fact I'll remember forever, winning my 5th Grand Slam at the same time as Rafa, my idol, my inspiration. It's a great honor, honestly. The Mallorcan won 2 Australian Opens, and Alcaraz will be looking for his first to stay on Rafa's heels in his quest to reach his dominance. Shocking message from Alcaraz about his match against Sinner ahead of the Australian Open. The Murcian tennis player has stated that this type of match is a great opportunity to assess his physical condition before playing the only Grand Slam he has not yet won. Carlos Alcaraz continues his vacation in Miami, enjoying his last days before returning to the court. The Murcian will play again on December 7th and 8th in the United States in 2 exhibition matches to get into rhythm ahead of next season. In 2026, Alcaraz will look to reclaim the world number one ranking and win as many tournaments as possible, with the Australian Open as his main goal, as it is the only Grand Slam he does not yet have in his record. To get into the best rhythm for the tournament, besides facing Francis Tiafoe and João Fonseca on the already scheduled dates, Carlitos will also play against Jannik Sinner in Seoul on January 10th. Although there have been many complaints from former tennis players about the number of exhibition matches the Spaniard is playing, Alcaraz has defended himself by stating that this type of match is a great opportunity to assess my physical condition and feel better before the Australian Open. Having the chance to play in front of the Korean fans is incredibly motivating. Also, playing in a new environment helps me a lot in my preparation for the season, Carlos added in an interview with Tennis Korea. In addition to explaining the reason for his match against Sinner in South Korea before playing the Australian Open, the Spaniard dedicated a few words to his biggest rival on court. Jannik and I have faced each other in many important settings and we've played intense matches. We have met in several Grand Slam finals and I think we have strengthened each other, Carlos said. Finally, the tennis player assured that the rivalry between him and the Italian is positive, and he wishes to continue facing Sinner throughout his career. With a long career ahead of us, I hope we can continue with this positive rivalry that will help us grow together, and the last message surprised all the fans. I think that in the next match I will beat Sinner after making some changes in training. Rafa Nadal's advice to Carlos Alcaraz that changed him completely. To become one of the best tennis players in history, a member of the Big Three and winner of 22 Grand Slams minus 14 of them at Roland Garros, like Rafa Nadal, several factors are needed: talent, hard work and physical condition. But not only that, as Nadal himself explained in his interview on Universo Valdano, it is also key to enjoy tennis and not come to see it as a sacrifice. He once told Carlos Alcaraz something similar, advice the Murcian still remembers and about which, from 20 Minutos, we asked him after Valdano's live interview. Sacrifices are when you do things you don't want to do. In that sense, I haven't made great sacrifices. I've made great efforts, but sacrifices, very few. I've enjoyed what I've done. I haven't felt like I've missed out on practically anything in life, Nadal explained in the conversation with the former footballer about how he experienced his professional career. This reminded Alcaraz of a piece of advice Nadal once gave him, that I shouldn't see tennis as an obligation. That I should do it to practice and be better, but not out of obligation. Advice that undoubtedly helped Nadal in his career and that seems to have stuck with the player from El Palmar. Carlos Alcaraz has his own personality and determination to achieve his goals. Beyond that, personally, I think everyone has to act according to their personality. You shouldn't go against who you are as a person, Nadal told this newspaper about what he believes the student of Juan Carlos Ferrero should focus on. Likewise, Nadal explains that each tennis player must find what works for them personally. Different things work for each of us, we're not all the same. Some need more rest, others need to go play golf, go to the movies. Everyone finds their own ways to reconnect and to come back to work with renewed energy and the right mindset to perform at the highest level. Carlos Alcaraz, who finishes the year as number 1, has signed the best season of his sporting career to date. The Mercian, who has won 6 Grand Slams and only lacks the Australian Open, wants to be one of the best tennis players in history. Now he wants to win the Masters Cup, in which he will face Auger Aliassime this Saturday in the tournament semifinals after the latter defeated Zverev. He spoke about all of this, as well as his relationship with Rafa Nadal, in an interview on El Partidazo de Cope. Ferrero's pupil has just regained world number 1, that's what the ranking shows. But I'm far from being the best player in terms of tennis or level, because there are still many players who can beat me and I've lost to many players. I'm not the best, but the ranking says so. In the interview, the Mercian also spoke about the big 3 and whether he expects to equal or surpass them. I can sit at the table with Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't have goals, I wouldn't have ambition, I wouldn't have anything. That's an end-of-career goal, to see if I can sit at that table with them. I think I can. Carlitos also spoke about the relationship he has had with Rafa Nadal over the years and how he has influenced his career. I've always admired Nadal and he has always lent me a hand and supported me. Being able to talk now as equals, as if he were a friend, means everything to me. I've asked him for advice on certain things and he has always been there. Ferrero's demands. On the other hand, and regarding how young tennis players sacrifice themselves compared to the previous generation, the Valencian coach has doubts about whether, in the end, his pupil can become one of the best in history. His understanding of work and sacrifice is different from ours. It makes me doubt whether he can become the best in history like this. Winning 2 Grand Slams in 2024 is great, but maintaining these numbers is what's really complicated. Therefore, Ferrero emphasizes that effort and sacrifice are non-negotiable, and require very hard work. The tour is very demanding, you have tournaments continuously and you must meet obligations if you want to stay in this world. I want him to be the best in history, but I don't know if I'll be able to endure. This world is very sacrificial and we know the things we have to give up. It's tough being away and far from family, but we chose this. The ATP punishes Carlos Alcaraz and Sinner. Carlos Alcaraz loses half of his Christmas bonus. The Mercian, who finished 2025 as ATP world number 1, was unable to play all the Masters 1000 tournaments, which cost him an important sum of money. As the last month of the year begins and the tennis season has already ended, it's time to assess the sporting and financial gains for the big stars of today's tennis. And among them, of course, the most curious case is that of the current world number 1, Carlos Alcaraz. After completing the best season of his still short career, many wonder how these achievements have affected his personal finances. Well, the Mercian, who played 11 finals this season, has missed out on half of an important extra bonus. It's the bonus you receive for playing all the Masters 1000 tournaments in a single year. Alcaraz would have received $4.8 million if he had played all of them, but the rule states that the reward is reduced by 25% for each Masters 1000 not played due to withdrawal or injury, up to a maximum of 3. From 4 onwards, the reduction is 100%, which is what happened to Sinner. Alcaraz challenges Sinner ahead of 2026. Carlos Alcaraz could not defeat Jannik Sinner in the Masters Cup final held at the Analpi Arena in Turin. The Spanish player, who delivered a solid performance overall, was left with a bitter taste after losing 7-6, 4, 7-5 to the man from San Candido, closing 2025 as world number 1 with 8 titles. The Mercian accepted the painful defeat and, in the award ceremony, sent Sinner a warning ahead of 2026, a year expected to be thrilling and in which Spanish and Italian fans will surely see their players face off more than once. It's been a great year for Jannik and now it's time to rest. I hope you're ready for next year because I will be too. Hopefully we can play more finals together, said the player from El Palmar shortly after thanking the Italian crowd for their support and respect during the final. Sinner decided to rest and prepare for 2026, a decision that generated a lot of debate. However, Jannik has expressed a rather striking opinion about the tournament scheduling. Carlitos already said that, given how tight the calendar is, it should be held less frequently, and Sinner agrees. Every player has their own opinion. With this calendar, it's difficult for the Davis Cup to have the best players from every country every year. What I would love to see in the future, is for the Davis Cup to be played every 2 years. This way you could place the semifinals at the beginning of the season and the final at the end, somewhere, Sinner said. The Italian noted some aspects he would like to see return from old Davis Cup formats. If the finals are in Bologna, and there's an Australia versus United States match, of course there will be spectators. I'm not saying there won't be, but at the same time, why not make it the real Davis Cup? I've never had the chance to play the real Davis Cup, where you have to play away in Brazil or Argentina, with the whole stadium not against you but fully supporting their country. I think that's the real Davis Cup, Sinner concluded. Carlos Alcaraz beats Sinner in another peculiar battle. The Mercian has beaten the Italian in a statistic that even has its own honorary title among tennis fans. Nobody disputes that 2025 has been Carlos Alcaraz's year. And few would doubt that if Jannik Sinner hadn't been suspended for 3 months for doping, he could have spoiled the Mercian's very happy ending.